Imagine being in a room full of friends, family, co-workers, colleagues, having a great time. A weekend party with the buddies, a birthday party, a family get-together, or a work conference or meeting. In the middle of all that good conversation, chatter, fun, laughter, something is said. Something is said that is discriminatory against race, gender, age, sexuality, education, disability, looks. You call it out. You called them out. Something was said that was not directed at you or anyone in the room. Something that does not directly impact you, yet you called it out. Silence. Absolute awkward silence follows. All eyes are on you at this point. Some heads shaking, a very few, if any, nodding in approval. Looks and words like this follow. Don't ruin it. Don't read too much into it. Can't you take a joke? And my personal favorite, you just love attention, don't you? All right, everybody gets back to their drinks, pretend like nothing happened. On the way home, you feel disappointed in people who did not lend their voice to join yours, supporting you. On the way home, you do feel a bit dejected. You ask yourself, when and how will this all end? Why didn't I say more? You make it almost about you. You stop this close to making it about you. Welcome to the world of allyship, my friends. The lonely, doubtful, uncertain, yet courageous world of allyship. Hey, I'm not trying to scare anyone off here. Allyship does not have to be as public and loud as I painted it to be. It can be as private as you want it to be and be equally effective. We're all different. So can be the way we choose to advocate for others. There'll be times when you think of a great comeback after the fact. You get on social media, post about it, you make some noise about it. There will be times when you do not let a resume be skipped because the job applicant's name looks weird or is hard to pronounce. There will be times when you anonymously report an incident against abuse, harassment, discrimination. Whatever the case may be, you are still an ally. Allyship is recognizing who you are, acknowledging your privileges, confronting your prejudices, and using that power that comes with who you are to stand with and for others who do not belong to the same social identity as you. Sounds a bit like a friend? Allyship is as simple and as hard as being a true friend. Just like relationships and friendships need work, allyship needs work too. A complete investment into learning and not hesitating to stand by any people facing discrimination. So what's a female immigrant person of color, me, doing here, standing here, talking about supporting others while I can be fighting sexism, racism, national origin discrimination? I have had my share of mockery over my accent, the way I look, and experienced gender bias. I'm totally into those issues and causes. But along the way, I did realize that I have some privileges. The privilege of being a heterosexual, able-bodied, educated, financially independent American cis woman. I also come from an upper caste and upper middle class background in my birth country. I grew up with certain privileges and gained a few more in my adulthood. That's the first step in the journey of an ally, acknowledging one's privileges. The next step is to look within to unlearn. Consciously dismantling biases, shedding prejudices that impact the way you think and act. Very easy to say, this is a tough one. Very easy to say to start unlearning. It is hard, but it can be done. Back in 2002, my mom and I were in New York. It was summer. The Pride Parade was going on. Beautiful. We were there as tourists. We had no clue what it was back then. I felt like I was transported into this magical dream, only to be pulled back into the reality by the words, "Why don't they get counseling to become normal?" Mom and I argued about it. We fought. I told myself, old-timers will never change. Two things happened there. Her prejudice towards transgenders and mine towards her age. Fast forward 20 years, I find my 70-year-old mother working closely with the trans community in her city. She gave herself a chance to unlearn. She made an effort to understand that no one else has the right to determine anyone else's identity. Conquering value clashes takes courage. Unlearning is that conscious, brave step towards allyship. Right here, a word of caution. This is when the savior complex creeps in. You have checked a few boxes off. You've acknowledged your privilege. You've made that step towards unlearning. You think you know it all. You think you know best. You are ready to save the world from itself. This is when you need to realize that valuing lived experiences matter. Apologizing when mistakes happen matter. Does not matter if your intentions were good. This sets the right tone for one's own commitment to allyship, continuous learning, course correcting, and moving forward. Allyship is never about allies. Remembering that keeps the focus on who and what it's all about. Allies do have a skin in the game, though, and it is their quest for equality. Practicing allyship in our day-to-day lives takes many forms. At home, at work, at school, at the gym, at the mall, in our own thoughts and actions. When I first moved to the USA in the late 90s, my world was very small. Pre-Google days of limited learning tools. Most learning happened through either reading, observing, or from first-hand experiencing something. My first job was public-facing. There was this girl, sweet girl, Lucy, our regular customer, who was going through the surgical process involved to be herself. She was very open about it, sharing her pain and joy. One day, Lucy walked in, wanted something printed out. I turned to my coworker and said, "Lucy is here, can you help him?" I was mortified as soon as I said that. I knew I made a mistake. The look on Lucy's face was that of betrayal. It stung. I was embarrassed. I hesitated, but I apologized. I used the correct pronoun. Owning up to one's mistakes is a very important part of being an ally. All the while, I thought I was an ally. I had known Lucy 3 years then. In general, using the correct pronouns and not making assumptions about pronouns is key. In case you're wondering, this has always worked well for me. My name is Shyla. I use the pronouns she, her. What about you? I had many teachers, including life, who gave me the courage to introspect and also be open to learning. I love learning from today's young. I have an opportunity to work closely with young people through my nonprofit, Pure. I have 2 teenagers at home, and I have friends with teenage children. I get to see Gen Zs, especially first-generation American children, challenging their parents' bias towards LGBTQ+ community, stigma around mental health, and also biases against other genders and races, ethnicities. On the other hand, I also get to hear from the parents complaining about their woke child, which in actuality gives me the confidence that the generations to come are more inclusive, open, and not afraid to speak. Allyship comes with social cost, meaning exclusion and being branded as a troublemaker. It takes courage to stand up to one's own family, challenge them about their beliefs, ideologies, and their perceived notions. Allyship at work comes with a different risk. Questions about how will this impact my job or the role in the team. But corporates are all about allyship at work lately through their DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. The true win there will be when it reflects in everyday interactions between people from different backgrounds. You will find yourself on the receiving end of allyship too. There's this one example that I want to share with you, happened to me in Dallas. A great example of a privilege that is taken for granted. The privilege of safety that only some people have based on their gender. I was in Dallas attending a conference. The event ran late. It was almost midnight. I had my car parked 2 to 3 blocks away. After the event, I passed by a group of people I attended the conference with. I recognized a few of them as being my friends on Facebook. I passed by, one of them called out, asking me to wait. He accompanied me to the parking place, waited till I got in the car, and my car started moving. One thing happened though. On our way to the parking lot, he got a call. And I could hear it. And it was from the group of people he left behind. They were making fun of him. On the way to the hotel, I reflected on it a bit. And I was like, that was a pure act of allyship. He did not care what others would say, or that he had to go back to the same group that was going to make fun of him or razz him a bit. I chose to share this story here on this college campus. Please see this as a reminder to use your privilege of safety as and when needed. Please choose to be an ally. Small, big, brave, any and all acts of allyship have the power to change the world. Have you ever been kicked out of a chat room or made to feel unwelcome in a friend circle? Not for saying something inappropriate, but for questioning the negative comments against gender, sexuality, race, or other microaggressions. Have you ever been asked by a culturally conservative group if you were gay, or if somebody in your family identified with LGBTQ+ community just because you speak up for the community as an ally? Have you been accused of being a feminist just to be around women? Have you been made to feel awkward for championing causes that are seen as taboo subjects? Congratulations and thank you for your courage. Allies knowingly or unknowingly lend their voices to amplify unheard voices in places that have not yet opened the doors of inclusion. Allyship indeed needs courage. It comes easy to some. Others need to dig deeper to find it. Everybody has their own unique journey of finding that courage to face risk to their reputation, conflict, or disruption to their lives. Start small. Learn fast. Get active. Show up. Speak up. Do not look back. Thank you.